Alright, let's get started. In this video I'll be showing you how I built this freestanding wine showcase display unit for a local restaurant. This cabinet is constructed with 3/4 inch MDF and veneered with a real wood walnut paperback veneer applied with contact cement. I started by taking some rough measurements and then using the track saw to break down these 4x8 sheets. This makes them a little more manageable to run through the table saw. Once I have them broken down, I then make some more breakdown cuts to create the carcass of this cabinet. After that, I cut these pieces down to final dimension. With my pieces cut down to consistent dimensions, now I can start batching out the components for the shelving. Now that I have all my pieces cut to size and all my components ready, it's time to roll out the veneer and start breaking that down as well. Also, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to these videos to stay up on future builds. Now, since this is an open display unit, I needed 7 sheets of this veneer, so I spent some time picking out the best grain patterns for the exterior of the case. I'm using weldwood contact cement to apply my veneer to the MDF. A generous coat to both the veneer and the MDF ensures a good bond and smooth finish. I'm rolling this adhesive on in 2 directions to make sure I have 100% coverage. After giving the contact cement time to tack up properly, I'll go ahead and apply the first large side section. I use various dowels as spacers so I can line up the veneer. I also cut the veneer a little larger than the MDF in case I get off track while applying it. This is always such a nail-biting moment for me when doing these large veneer jobs, but I find the easiest thing for me to do is get everything lined up as best as I can and start in the middle by pulling out the large center dowel first, then working my way out as I go. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have a J roller at the time, so I used a piece of scrap MDF and put a 1/4 inch round over on both sides and just used it as a scraper smoother tool. It's not ideal, I know, but it did the job just fine. Now that my veneer is applied and thoroughly smoothed out, I'll go ahead and trim the excess. To do this, I'm just using a flush cut bit in my palm router. I didn't get any footage of it, but I veneered all the smaller shelf pieces in rough dimensions, so I'll go ahead and cut them down to final dimension at the table saw before starting the assembly. To make sure I got the spacing right on these top dividers, I made some spacer blocks that are the actual size of the shelves. With the dividers set, I started installing the shelves. Just some glue and 18 gauge pin nails would do the trick for these. Now that I have all the horizontal and vertical shelving components complete for the top, it's time to start working on these diagonal divider shelves on the bottom that will be used for full case storage. Starting with one full-length divider corner to corner, I'll get that set and square and then start putting in the smaller pieces. Once my center is set, I can start piecing in the rest. And I won't bore you with those monotonous details, but as you can see in the background here, it came out pretty nice. Alright, with the case constructed, let's move on to the edge banding. I grabbed some 4/4 walnut from the lumber rack and cut it to rough length. Now, this is live edge walnut, only surfaced on 2 sides. So I had to use my track saw to cut a clean straight edge down one side before taking it over to the table saw for batch cutting. After getting all my pieces to a consistent 3/16 of an inch, I then cut them down to just over 3/4 of an inch to match the thickness of the MDF. And here you see me fixing a little mishap where I cut to the wrong mark and chopped about 10 inches off the side on accident. Put a few dowel pins, some pocket hole screws, and some filler, and you'll never know. Especially since the outside veneer you see me applying here will cover all of it anyway. And again, pretty much same deal for this step in the veneer process as before. Only this time, after trimming the excess, I'll go ahead and take some 240 grit sandpaper and just to smooth out the edges where the veneers meet. With a light sanding, 2 coats of tung oil, which I didn't film, this baby is done. I also made a solid walnut base, of which I also got 0 footage. I'll leave you with a couple of finished shots, and if you're still watching, I sincerely thank you for sticking around. I'll see y'all in the next one.